and welcome everyone to the Deep Funding Town Hall. And for today, we have an interesting agenda, I think, especially in terms of funding. A lot of funding conversations to be had. First, we start with what is deep funding. Then we have for you an update on the community RFPs, which closed today. Some new live RFPs in the platform, and then the big topic for today, the BGI NEXUS round. And before starting with all, let's start with what is deep funding. And we are a decentralized grants program tasked to fund projects and initiatives that are beneficial to SingularityNET, and more specifically to the creation of a democratic, decentralized, and beneficial AGI. And in terms of our values, what we try to stand for, we have openness, creativity, collaboration, kindness. If you think those are values that reflect you as well, then please come, you fit in perfectly. And we believe those are really important to collaborate towards something that will affect all mankind. And Deep Funding, as a decentralized grants program run by the community, needs you, of course. There's a lot of ways you can contribute to Deep Funding as a community member. You can, of course, propose into the RFPs, into the rounds, into whatever you like. You can vote for the proposals that you believe are the best for our common goal. You can try to or apply to become an expert reviewer. But more than that, even as a normal community member, you can review proposals, you can leave comments, give them feedback, and help them improve and come stronger for either for a next round or even doing the same round, because you have a period for that. And naturally, you can come here to these gatherings and discuss about deep funding, participate in governance, participate in decision making, give your feedback, which I think is very nice and very refreshing. And if you want to even furthermore your contributions, you can join the circles. Circles are run by community members, and they basically help execute the operations of deep funding. And we have many circles, like the review circle, operations, marketing, events, which is the circle coordinating this town hall that you're in. So a lot of things you can do for your different skill sets. As for the town hall, this is, as I was saying to Nana in the beginning, the place for you, the place for the community to talk about deep funding, ask questions, learn, and yeah, just be around with the rest of the community. And as we talked about circles and community a lot during this place, you have here our community portal, a great way to stay up to date with everything that is happening in deep funding and deep funding community. You can learn more about the circles. You can also book presentations for events such as this town hall or the open hall lens, which is more of a governance call. You can, of course, see everything that's going on and keep track of what circles are doing in the progress. And for the town hall, as I mentioned, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love you to bring topics, any topics you believe are important here. You can come with a presentation. You just need to book it through the community website. As you can see here, is a very simple process. And you can also, if you prefer, host a breakout room, and just we can do small rooms at the end of the town hall for people to go and discuss any topic that you'd like to be discussed on maybe a smaller audience, let's say. With that said, I think we can, before moving to the BGI round, go with some of the updates on my end at least. And some of those updates are related with the Community Hubs RFPs. Well, first of all, thank you and congratulations to you all. We had a lot of applications, a lot of interesting applications, let's say, different topics, a lot of variety. And we have now 39 proposals to review. So now that's the stage we need to go in, dive deeper in as the event circle, and we're already starting to review all of this, to understand what information we have, what we might be missing. We might be in contact with some of the proposers as well to get some more information in the next days. But as you can imagine, there are 39 proposals, so this will take a little bit of time just because we want to make sure we give everyone a fair chance, right? And that we spend enough time evaluating your proposals. But besides that, and maybe Jan or Rafael will want to say more about it, We do have two new RFPs live in the platform, it seems, community RFPs, one on decentralized digital identity research and another on reputation and voting weight system. I don't know if you guys want to say something about it or if it's enough to have this announcement. Yeah, and Rafael? I don't see Joanna here, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say too much about it, but thank you for mentioning them. Um, but to add a little bit to that, I think these two RFPs are very important for our program and our ecosystem. Reputation portal is already there and functioning, but with a tight relation to some data sources and some tighter algorithms. And this program, the new version of that platform, would allow us to have a microservice architecture with all kinds of data sources and layer with where you can have different calculation of weights per microservice. Um, and ultimately, together with the DDI hub, so we were advised to call it DDI and not DID or SSID. It's all the same, basically. Decentralized digital identity. That would be an enhancement of our current wallet linking tool, Vault, which would, so we are researching this currently. The idea is that we would have multiple DID systems or decentralized identification systems connected to Vault. And then let's say we have 5 of them, then you would be able to choose which one you want to use. So we don't have to rely on a single solution in the market. And the research focuses on validating whether it's possible to chain them together in a way that we know that if you use one, that you only are once in this collection of people and that you don't have multiple identities over multiple solutions. And another very important thing is that we want to make this user-owned, so you'll be able to create multiple hashes related to your identity, and you could each of these tokens you could add to another platform or another circle without anybody knowing that they are related to the same person. And that ties into the zero knowledge proof. So with these two things together, that's also a reason why we are publishing them at the same time. They are somewhat interrelated because what we're aiming for is make the whole end-to-end solution zero knowledge proof. So you can use an identity tool, you can add wallets, you can add other data sources. The reputation platform can make calculation based on that data that you provide. But they will never know that it is you, and they might not even know, not even the reputation platform itself, that multiple data sources are actually tied to the same person. But at the same time, it would still be validated and secure. So that's quite ambitious. It would be, yeah, I think next level. I think if we would pull this off, then it's not just for us, but also other Web3 parties should be able to use that if they want. Yeah, and so the research, the DID, it's a significant amount for a research project, but it's also a very tough matter. And you have to look in multiple DID systems to see how they would fit together. The output of it would be, apart from conclusions and advice, etc. So an outcome could be, this is never going to work. But I don't expect that. We did some research, we asked some people, and they think we can pull it off. It can be pulled off. And then the output of that particular RFP would be probably 2 or 3 follow-up RFPs to develop the whole thing. And yeah, if we have then the next iteration of our reputation platform, and we would have Vault as a product with DID and zero knowledge proof, then we would have a very sophisticated, not cheap, but very sophisticated solution.
All
That's it,
right.
folks.
Seems very
Any questions?
interesting. Do you think there's any specific kind of persona that would be a good fit to present a proposal for this RFP? I don't know if this is
I
a
think for the
relevant.
BGI research paper, you really need to have experience in the field. This is not for anybody. So this is really, you have to know, either have to have really good experience in identification systems, or you have to have real good experience in zero knowledge proof technologies, and ideally both, because it's fundamental to what we want to do. And the thought is that we're doing this now once, this research thing, to lay a foundation and to look at the whole thing end to end, and then be sure that in the next stages we can actually build this. And maybe we'll not build it all at once, maybe we'll build it step by step, but that depends on the outcomes. And as for the reputation platform, I would say that's more like an engineering challenge. So I think any organization that has good software development experience in, yeah, really solid solutions would be able to apply to that one. And of course, it's very helpful if you know a little bit about what we're doing, if you understand Web3, if you know what reputation and the significance of reputation is. Yeah, maybe one more remark here. The reason why we're now doubling down on that whole zero knowledge proof, and also making sure that, or at least that's the idea, to give the owner full governance and ownership per event, which data you would like to be make part of that event based on your ID. Because also in the changing world of today, I wanted to make very sure that we're not building something, that reputation portal, that could actually be used for detrimental purposes. So imagine we would make a reputation portal that we will use in a very beneficial way, but maybe some other partner or country or whatever would start using it to repress people and to know stuff about people. So that's why we're doubling down on that self-sovereign part and self-governance, and making everything zero knowledge proof, so that any outside partner cannot touch it and cannot know who you are and which data belongs to you. So yeah, I would say it's very important, and I hope we can pull it off, and then I hope we can make good use of it. And maybe not just us, but also other entities in the ecosystem.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jan. And guys, go check out their RFPs, and whether it's a good fit for you or you know somebody, don't forget to reach out to them and tell them these opportunities are available. And that being said, I think we can move on to the real thing that everyone is here for, the BGI round. And I see here Esther, I see here Ailey as well, I think. Or at some point I did. Now is I don't know. I do now. So welcome. I don't know if you're the ones with the first word on this topic. And Lilo is here as well. Welcome, Lilo.
If I may, Cardoso,
Yes.
since it's time for the BGI Nexus join the stage here, I would like to explain a little bit further and just in a few words what's going on here, okay? Normally, most of you here knows about our rounds, the rounds where we provide grants to AI services that are going to be onboarded on our platform. Those are now we can recognize by the name of regular rounds, right? What we are doing now, it's a round, but it's a new format. So we are expanding our scope of action, giving different ways of funding. We have other initiatives as well as what you just saw, all the RFPs, which is a new initiative. We have hackathons as well, another initiative to fund projects. And now we are starting with the BGI Nexus, a partnership format. So a third party comes, select us, discuss with us. We together build the round for their purpose. Okay, so it's something new, not only for us but also for the BGI Nexus team. And we expect from all is also to understand this as we are learning with the process. So a lot of variables might happen and occur during this process, but we are going to be as transparent as always, if the case. And of course, Esther and the team will also talk more about this. But I wanted to give you this big picture of what's going on. So it's not necessarily or actually a deep funding round, but it's a third party using our platform, our expertise and knowledge around this grant, and also contacts in our ecosystem and etc. For doing what we already do. Okay, so this is the big picture that it's important for everyone to understand, that we are growing and also experimenting with new formats. Thank you very much for you all. And please, Esther, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for that context, Rafael. I think it's really interesting to see how different parts of the ecosystem may start to collaborate and mash up to do different things together and to reuse and remix each other's kind of processes and infrastructure, because that's kind of what decentralization is all about, right? So we're kind of merging and taking things apart and putting them together in new configurations. It's a really exciting time to see this kind of maturity growing across the network. So, and it's exciting to be your guinea pig as well. So it'll be like a test balloon and see if anything falls over in the process and can be improved. So yeah, it's really interesting to be part of a test round and to see it from the inside as well. Like, you don't necessarily appreciate how much work goes into it until you start to look under the hood and see how many things there are to coordinate, how many people are involved, and everything is completely different being this side of the experience. And I want to say a particular thank you to Rafael who was helping us to put together the guidelines for the round and passing on his expertise and experience from Deep Funding, and thanks in advance also to all of you who are going to be an essential part of the process and get to be together in this experience. Before I start to talk about the specifics of the grant round, I just wanted to know, I saw that Haley unmute yourself. Just wondered if you wanted to say something also before we get going, or indeed Lulu.
No, sorry.
Do I have share screen?
You should. Yes.
Oh yeah, there it is. Well, let's see if I do this right this time, because I did this wrong in the summit last year and it didn't work. It didn't work. Can you see my screen now? Can you see the presentation screen?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great. So welcome to the BGI Nexus Lightning Grant Round 1. I'm calling it Lightning because we're compressing the time frame a bit so that we can get it done by the time the BGI event comes around at the end of May, and because we're expressing, let's say, a part of the energy of the BGI conference and the BGI movement. So the BGI Nexus project sort of came out of some discussions and thinking that we all did at the event last year. And we consider it to not just be a grant program, but also a much wider collaborative initiative that's moving towards the goals of initially the SingularityNET Foundation and community, but now hopefully reaching wider, of fostering beneficial AI and AGI technologies. So initially we started on a kind of research angle, thinking about how we gather human values and safety and ethics, but we also want to provide ways for people to contribute resources and their time in order to achieve the kind of collective goals towards beneficial AI and improving the general ecology of AI out in the world to become kind of more beneficial and better for human life and not just kind of economically driven. So we consider ourselves kind of like a community where people can get together and share resources or knowledge or however they want to contribute. So just to further introduce for anybody who hasn't really found out that much yet about BGI NEXUS, the NEXUS program's key elements are this sort of funding and donation resourcing scheme, the research that we started with, so still gathering human values on AI safety and ethics, collective decision making and aligning with other organizations. So we're not reinventing the wheel to continue to cover ground that people have already covered in the space of beneficial AI and in the space of safety and ethics, but really joining initiatives together to become more effective in collaboration. The grant round that we're hoping to launch, in fact, that we will launch on the 10th with the help of Deep Funding community, is going to be $500,000 in dollars worth of tokens, with a 50K max cap per project. There's going to be only one pool because it's a small grant round to begin with. So we're specifically requesting for technical projects that are aiming for social environmental good. So initially we weren't sure whether it was going to have some sort of theme or not. And we went with this kind of quite broad theme to capture all kinds of technologies to see just what comes out. We're interested to see what the community comes out with, and let everything come out of the woodwork and see what happens. The main requests that we're making, or the main criteria that we'll be looking at, are how well they align with the BGI vision. So to contribute to regeneration, to contribute to social good. That could be things like educational technologies. It could be local impact. It could be global impact. They can be all kinds of things. They can be things that contribute to ethics and safety, like safety monitoring. So all kinds of positive for good technical projects in AI and AGI. So it could also be for beneficial AGI as well, anything that contributes to that sort of thing. They need to be both ethical and safe. So they need to express a specific treatment of ethics and safety. And they need to have a milestone plan, as is the case normally with deep funding proposals, as it will go through mostly the deep funding infrastructure. And we've borrowed plenty from the deep funding process as well. Some directions that you could take could be regenerative, could be ecological, but other kinds of regeneration could be part of your proposal as well. So economic regeneration, environmental sustainability, education, social, all that sort of thing. And as I said before, contributions to beneficial AGI. So monitoring components that work towards positive and compassionate behavior. Because at the moment we're not seeing a lot of proactive solutions in the AI space towards making sure that the AI acts in a positive way towards the environment and towards humans. So down to some details. There's going to be a 2-week submission period starting on Monday, the 10th of February. Originally, we were going to do a draft week, but then eventually just decided to open it for the whole 2 weeks. And then we'll close at the end of the second week. And it takes place as standard through the Deep Funding submission portal, which I guess many of you, if not most of you, are familiar with. The review phase has been somewhat compressed as far as I understand it. So there'll be first series of BGI community reviews. So this will be volunteers from the BGI community. That doesn't exclude anyone from the Deep Funding community who feels a strong affinity with our vision and really wants to contribute and come and be a reviewer. That's absolutely fine. Because this is a kind of beneficial program, and because we're working with people who have a kind of because we're hoping to move into the kind of voluntary time banking space, we're also just asking people to review voluntarily from the BGI community. However, the technical reviews are done in-house at Deep Funding according to your own process. So we don't really have much of a interference there. And then the third phase will be interviews. So I don't recall, Rafael, if you did interviews in the last round. I think you did interviews in the last round, didn't you?
No. And the interviews aren't, it's only if the expert reviewers decide on this. It's not a necessary or obligatory step.
Yeah, so there might be interviews if the technical, that's the technical reviewers, the expert technical reviewers are requesting an interview to talk to the individuals in the team and I think find out about technical capability and find out just a bit more about the team, a bit more information about the team. The community reviews are based around 4 criteria. 2 of them are yes, no's, and 2 of them are scores out of 10. So the main criteria, whether they conform to the BGI round theme, so that's social or ecological impact, and have a plan to be both safe and ethical, and have expressed how they plan to do that. And then an impact score out of 10 and an innovation score out of 10, which is about how original it is, because anyone can mock up another version of ChatGPT and call it a beneficial AI project, but it's not very innovative. So yeah, we'll be scoring on innovation or originality as well. And then those with a score of 7+ will progress to the next review phase, which is the technical reviews. But before that, the exact distribution of reviewers depend on the number of proposers. So we might need to adjust slightly the process as we go along. Like I said, anyone can volunteer to be a reviewer, and it will be through a slightly different reviewer form that we'll be using. But I think it may be a Google form. It might be through the portal. We're not quite sure yet. And then once the reviews are completed, they'll be posted on the proposal portal, anonymous reviewer to reviewers, reviewers will not be posted, reviewers' names will not be posted on all of the reviews, just to protect them and to make sure that there's no bad feeling conveyed towards people personally. And of course, with some monitoring for content, like the other way around is true as well, that we don't want to harm people who have submitted a proposal. And so there may be a little content moderation as well to make sure that everyone is polite to each other. And then once the first review process is done, the remaining projects go through to technical reviews, which are reviewed for feasibility and team capability, and that's just a yes or no outcome. So they go on to the final selection, or if the technical team needs a bit more information, then they go through to an interview for further evaluation of the team capability or capacity. And again, it's a yes or no outcome. There is an appeal process if proposals are rejected. So this is by email, and it needs to be addressing the issues highlighted in the report. So each of the I think it's the technical reviewers provide a report at the end if they're not going through addressing exactly why each proposal didn't make it. Yeah, so reviews will be posted on the proposal portal and reviewers kept anonymous. And then final selection / voting will be a calculation of reviewer scores at 40% and the community vote at 60%. And we'll find a suitable Web 2 solution to do the community vote. Initially, we were thinking of some other formats, but such as including AI into the mix, but eventually we decided that that would be possibly a bit unfair or a bit primitive, and we didn't have time to develop the tools yet to do a really interesting experiment. So we decided not to just run it through ChatGPT or something, and rather find a more interesting solution later down the line, to just experiment with how AI might actually take a part in the decision making. But we decided to keep it simple this time, and just keep it to the reviewers and to the community. So the basic timeline: 2 weeks for submissions from the 10th to the 23rd, review period of about 1 month, and there'll be 1 week of proposal awareness where everybody gets to plug their projects. There may be some event or something that we do for awareness, but yeah, there are lots of proposals, suggestions in the guidelines about how you might want to promote your project, and we recommend doing it far and wide, and making yourself available for AMAs and so on, to talk to the community and talk to the BGI community and so on. And we'll do lots of exposure during proposal week to make sure that there's as much interaction as possible with you and the BGI community, and of course everybody can get involved in the discussion and selection process. And then the voting portal will be open for 1 week, or platform, however we decide to do it. And they'll be voting between the 31st of March and the 6th of April, and then 1 week for vote counting, and then announcing the winners. Now, one of the things that we're really hoping to do this year is to integrate what we're doing with the BGI event at the end of May. So we're hoping to bring some of the winning teams. We haven't exactly figured out how the logistics are going to work yet, but we really want to integrate somehow the round success with what we're doing at the BGI event, because the BGI event is all about action, it's all about regeneration, it's all about the beneficial side of artificial intelligence, and we think that it will be a perfect time to bring people together and show what you've done as well, show what everybody's done, and be able to talk about all of the projects that have been awarded here. And I think that's all I have to say for now about the process for proposal and voting. There is going to be a full document with guidelines available very soon. I think we released that today, right, Rafael?
Yes, that's among the things that also considering this call here. Perhaps anyone has some inputs, and we are also willing to learn from you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if there's any questions, then please go ahead. We're here for the duration. Oh, there's a question.
Yeah, on the chat we have a few questions. Would you like me to read the questions, Esther, or out loud?
I mean, if it's helpful for the recording, but otherwise I can see. It looks like.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll just read the first question if that's okay with you. I guess it's going to be good for the recording. Good point. Is BGI an affiliate of Deep Funding? I guess is the first question from Abdul Haman.
So the reason for the question is that the reviewers from the community would be volunteering to review the proposals, but doesn't exclude the Deep Funding community. So, yeah, that's a great question. I think the answer is that it comes from. We're not a completely third party because we are still within SingularityNET. So it's not that we are bringing a totally different community to decide on the projects. It's still a kind of community decided thing, how to award the projects and so on. So anyone can be part of that selection process as long as they have the kind of expertise to do it. The distinction is that it's a purely voluntary process, and it's the community reviews, the BGI community reviews, aren't rewarded or incentivized in the same way as the deep funding normally is, because it's a kind of beneficial project. It's specifically aimed at this kind of crowdsourcing human energy towards BGI. So from that perspective, it's only really that different in that way. But if somebody feels like they really want to become a reviewer for and really feels themselves to be part of the BGI community, or really feels like they want to be part of that vision, then we're not going to exclude anybody. If anyone who wants to can become a reviewer.
Yeah, and I think in many ways there's a lot of overlap in the sense that deep funding projects should help finance beneficial general intelligence. You're also fighting for beneficial general intelligence. So yeah, hopefully we enjoyed this overlap to work together and have more minds thinking about an important topic, right?
That's right. We're working on the same vision. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We also have a question from Nana Safo in the chat, and then Ken, I'll go to you afterwards if you don't mind. And the question is around incentives for reviewers. Maybe Nana's also not confused or wondering also about the time banking, I guess, which is related to reviewers, maybe.
Right. I just brought up the time banking as a way to signal like what sort of direction the Nexus program is heading in, and why we're thinking of this as a kind of voluntary process. But so it's not really realized. That part of the vision hasn't really been realized. But maybe Rafael, you can Rafael Preso, you could comment on whether what happens with the technical reviewers. Are there incentives for the technical reviewers?
Yes, the technical reviewers are paid reviewers by the same rate that are paying our circle members. In order to become a technical reviewer, you have to have experience in peer reviewing, for instance, from the academy, and also some other background in that, right? You can go to the community portal and find the review circle, apply for we have the specific space for applying to the job, open jobs, and then apply yourself. Our expert team leads will assess your application and invite you if the case.
All right.
But it's important, sorry, Rafael, it's important to make it clear that we have two types of reviewers in this process, right? One is the core, it's not business, but it would be the core reason for this, which is BGI. So the BGI community experts or BGI community reviewers will assess the proposals from the perspective of BGI, as Esther here showed the 4 criteria that they are going to use. Under the technical review, we are going to assess under other perspective, which is this feasible? Is this doable? Can we trust that this something that's deliverable? Following that, we are going to assess the team itself and check if the team has the capacity and skills to deliver what they promised. They have to go through the 2 criteria and be approved in the 2 criteria in order to go to the next step or phase, which would be the voting stage. Okay, so 2 different processes of reviewing.
Right. It answers the question, but if it doesn't, Nana, please feel free to ask something more. Ken, please, you have your hand up. Thank you for waiting so patiently.
Yeah, my arm's getting tired. That's no worry. Will there be a video presentation or a public presentation of proposals? Like in previous rounds, will we have the chance to describe and illuminate and perhaps entertain?
I hope that we will be able to do a live event, but we will at the very least be asking, or at least strongly suggesting, proposers to create short videos. So and then we can spotlight those. What we certainly won't be able to do is like do the same sort of spotlight and then edit everything together, because it's quite time consuming and it's a lightning round. But I really hope that we will be able to do a spotlight day last time. Things are a little bit in flux at the moment because we don't know how many proposals we're going to get. So some of the parameters of the round are going to shift a little bit depending on how many proposals there are, how many reviewers there are, and so on. And that might be one of the things that we think about a little bit, the format while it's going on. But I really hope that we'll be able to do some sort of live presentation event.
Okay. Thank you.
And then
Yeah,
I
we
see
are going.
Christian has another question about the connection between BGI and deep funding. I might try to speak to that just a touch, Rafael, if I could, and then perhaps you can double check me. But one of the directions that deep funding has talked about going is actually becoming a grant type program offering that lets third parties use the deep funding portal. And we have a lot of interest actually. As a SingularityNET person, somebody from the organization, we have a lot of interest from partners who might like to offer their own grants via deep funding. They provide the funds. Deep funding provides the portal, the expertise, the community, the AI developers to utilize deep funding. And that idea needs testing. And we're fortunate enough at the BGI NEXUS initiative to be the first ones to test this. So we're acting as if we're a third party, even though we're also within SingularityNET's incubation umbrella, like deep funding, but we're acting as if we're a third party. So we're bringing our funding to deep funding. We're bringing our own rules and guidelines, largely based on the expertise of deep funding and the systems you've already built here, because they're brilliant and have led to some brilliant and amazing outcomes already. So BGI NEXUS is coming in as if we're a third party, even though we're very closely affiliated. We're part of the SingularityNET family, and there's quite a bit of overlap between the deep funding community and our own community. Many of you are aware of the BGI event last year, the BGI NEXUS activities throughout the year and such. So there's quite a tight relationship, but we are coming in as a third party who, with our own funding, we're not using deep funds, so we get to decide our own rules and processes for how this goes. We're also utilizing the deep funding technical reviewers, because that is another excellent resource that has been developed in-house that BGI NEXUS doesn't need to replicate. So that's following all the deep funding processes, incentives, and structure. And then we're just innovating the piece where our BGI community becomes, expert reviewers for the proposals to verify their social impact and their alignment with the BGI round. Anybody who's heard of and is interested in BGI can be part of that community. So again, as Esther said, everybody here is, if they feel inclined toward promoting and participating in BGI through the NEXUS, part of that community by default, and you're welcome to become a community expert reviewer. If you and we'll have a way to demonstrate your expertise to be an expert reviewer, and it will be a contribution. It will be a contribution to the NEXUS, voluntary, not incentivized, not compensated. It would just be something that, because anybody in the community, including anybody here who cares about building BGI, wants to contribute their time and energy towards being an expert reviewer for these projects and helping the BGI NEXUS bubble up the highest quality, highest impact, most beneficial projects possible. And I hope that illuminates it and is completely accurate. So if Rafael or Jan or Esther want to say anything a little bit different than that.
I wouldn't change a comma on your explanation, Haley. Very good. Well, as a matter, to illustrate, perhaps get your preferred business or corporate and put in BGI's place. This might happen, and that's where we are willing to get. It might be a country, it might be a NGO, different approach, of course, but not necessarily they are going to have a connection with deep funding in order to use the deep funding platform to achieve their goals, which is funding via grants, AI projects for their purpose.
The nice thing about the experimentation, I think, is that then you can produce these templates, like decision-making selection templates to different groups of people and say, well, you could do it like this, but it's also been done like that. And so it's quite a good kind of experiment ground. And the more types you get, I mean, in that sense, it's almost like a meta experiment of selection and voting and governance, because we every round we learn something new about things. It's the same that you're doing in deep funding. It's like a deep area of experimentation for decentralization.
All right, awesome. I hope you have more clarity, Christian, but if you don't, feel free to ask your question. What matters is that everyone leaves without any questions and fully understanding everything you might want to understand. And we have Clement. Clement, thank you for raising your hand. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, Rafael. Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. And
it's
you?
been a minute here. It's fine. It's nice to see Esther and Lilo and Haley give us clear direction. And then, yeah, Rafael, it's been a while, man. I just want to ask, I mean, for previous funding rounds, we had a couple of considerations coming. I know this might be quite different, but things around reputation and everything else as considerations for ranking votes for the funding. Are we having something like this in the BGI round, or it's going to be a lot less complex? So are
I'm
we having
sorry, I didn't.
reputations? Yeah, I'm asking, are
I,
we having things like maybe reputation systems and stuff like that? Reputation scores or something come into play here, because we're going to be using the funding portal, and of course, from previous funding rounds, we have things like that come into play in the community's decision on
uh,
proposals that passed year. So are we
I
having
could
stuff
make.
around that? Yeah.
Yeah, I could have made that clearer in the presentation. So the reason why we're going with a Web 2 portal is to try and do a one person, one vote sort of situation. And we're trying to make it accessible to people who don't want to start a crypto wallet for whatever reason. So we believe that there are quite a few people, there are going to be quite a few people from the BGI community who don't have a crypto wallet and might find it a barrier to start one. So for this round, we're moving away from the deep funding voting portal. Even though we're using the proposal portal, we won't be using the deep funding voting portal. And so that's why it's still a little bit open, because we haven't yet settled on a platform. But we're trying to go for a one person, one vote sort of situation. And now we're exploring options as to how best to carry that out securely and safely and kind of respecting people's privacy.
All right. Hopefully that answered your question, Clement.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. If you have any more questions, please
Keep
raise
them
your
coming.
hand, or comments as well. Feel free. Uh, and we have a question in the chat from
No, that's a legacy hand. Yeah.
oh, what? What, Mike, maybe? All right. We have a question in the chat from Abdul Rahman. What qualifies one as a voter? What will be the process?
Oh, I
Define who
mean
is
that's
voting.
anybody. I mean anybody can vote. So you don't necessarily have to be part of the BGI event community or anything to participate. We're just I can see that we're probably confusing people by saying BGI community like they're different. But there is just anybody. The BGI community is simply defined as anyone who believes in the vision for beneficial AI and regeneration and wants to be part of that. So really it's in a sense it's a false distinction, because nobody is disqualified by from being part of BGI Nexus. It's very inclusive. So
Okay.
anybody can vote on projects.
So basically, the process would be you go to the Web2 platform that will be chosen at the time, and you basically register yourself, provide some information, I guess, to validate that you're a unique person, and you can vote. Is that what people should expect?
That is the current plan, yes. It is the current plan, but again, it's still a little bit open to what we're able to find. So I've been in talks with people who have secure voting platforms and so on. And it also depends perhaps a little bit on the number of proposals that we're getting. So at this point, I would say that the only thing that we're guaranteeing is that there's going to be a voting event where we expect that people will do one person, one vote. And leave the format a little bit flexible, but we will provide full instructions about how to vote. We're not going to make it too difficult, and yeah. So this is part of the pilot round.
Yeah, perhaps to give more clarity as well in this new format that we are testing now. It's exactly about this. Deep funding will give some guardrails, right? Here is the thing. So, but the decision within these guardrails comes from the partner. In this case here, represented by BGI NEXUS. So the decision process could be in future situations. I am the CEO of the company that's partnering. I am paying for these grants, and I want to solely decide what are the proposals that are going to become projects and being funded. I'm being extreme, of course, right, in this case, but it's just to show you the process that we are using. Oh, but then the decentralization. Yeah, we are providing also, and from the deep funding perspective and point of view, we are giving decentralization towards the marketing circle, review circle, and others that participate from our community to make this happen, right? But considering that we are not even putting resource or financial resources in it, we can't say to the partner, hey, you have to use a crypto wallet. You have to have tokens, and we are going to do this in a weight basis or something like that. So again, it's a new format. It's not a traditional or regular round, as we are going to work in the same approach that we used to, because it's deep funding providing the funds, right? So I felt the need to explain a little bit further about this format difference and how, because sometimes you might be, where is the decentralization? Where is it? So yeah, it's still there because BGI also has this line of decentralization. So they are also trying to bring the community into it, which, by the way, is another goal for deep funding when applying this format. We are also expecting to have many of the BGI community or anyone that's participating in this process to take a look and say, deep funding, interesting. So I want to be part of the community as well, deep funding community. And then we are growing our community by exploring this new format. This is a very good also feature that we can have to onboard more people into our own community, right? That's one of our goals for this year, including.
All right. I see here more questions around this topic. In fact, some questions in the chat. One is, for example, are there like any criteria to be a reviewer? Will there be a limit to the number of reviewers? This one I just added, but as we are here, I'll ask it.
Criteria for reviewers, did you say? Like,
Yes.
so how does one become a reviewer? So it'll be through a similar form as to what's already on the Deep Funding website. We'll probably change it a little bit to accommodate certain, maybe a few new criteria, but fundamentally it'll be pretty much the same. People can signal their area of expertise, and we'll try to group them appropriately. Again, according to how many proposals we get, it may shift around a little bit the process of assigning reviewers, but we're hoping to get 3 reviewers for a proposal, and then each reviewer hopefully would get about 10 to up to 10 to review. But yeah, so three reviewers to a proposal, and then plus a technical reviewer.
All right.
So the one.
Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh, I was just going to say that with the technical reviewer, if the technical reviewer says a no, if it's a no, then that can be appealed, and then 2 other technical reviewers will review it as well. So in the case of an appeal, then two more technical reviews. But at the beginning, just one to pass or not pass.
All right. So that means that the number of reviewers you will accept is probably also related to the number of proposals that will come up. Is that correct?
We
I
have
didn't understand the question, sorry.
Yeah, perhaps I can answer, Esther. We have to again get back to that situation where we have two types, right? Community reviewers, which are BGI community reviewers, for the first step of reviews. And then we have the second moment with the technical expert reviewers. Why is that put in this way? It's more difficult to find AI and tech experts to participate into this process. So we are having the first phase in a BGI with the BGI team, or community experts, reviewers actually, coming and giving their report about it. So yeah, given the criteria that we explained here, this proposal has a score. It's a yes, 2 yeses for the first 2 questions, and they have a score of 8. So this proposal is coming to the next stage, which is the technical review, right? What if a proposal has a score of 6.9, for instance? This proposal is rejected because we are also aiming for quality in the proposals to be voted, okay? So it's a filter or a gated process that we are building here in order to have quality and also to make our capacity enough to attend what's happening. So the process, the way it was built, and also the gated process to have the quality that we need. When we go to the next stage, which potentially will be a reduced number of proposals, I don't expect much, but yeah, anything can happen. Then we are going to have the first assessment made by one expert reviewer. This expert reviewer will again say, yeah, this is doable and the team is capable. If one of these are a no, then it's rejected. But the team might be, I disagree with the report. I don't think that the reviewer did a good work here. It can be, or perhaps the reviewer didn't understand what I said, what I wrote. So you can appeal. You will have 48 hours after receiving the report to send through the email your appeal. Now we have 2 more in the next stage, 2 more experts to review all the documentation. Proposal, report from the first expert reviewer, and the appeal document or email. And then they are going to get into a situation where we are going to have from the next 2, a yes or a no. At least 2, if at least 2 gives thumbs up or thumbs down, it is what it's going to happen, the new status, okay? Or if it's a no again, at least 1 no from the 2 subsequent reviewers, we have from a total of 3, 2 no's, 1 yes, so it's a no. I think I was clear, right? At the end here, I think
yeah.
I kind of, yeah.
Just going on to it, and I'm sorry. I think what I understood from the question from Ayomi was more there if anyone would be accepted as a reviewer, in the sense that imagine you apply, are you going to be automatically accepted, or is there a criteria, even if the criteria is related to you directly, or maybe related to we have too many reviewers, for example, which would be a criteria for not taking on everyone, for example. And I think that's the
now
question.
I remembered. Yeah, now I remembered why I was talking about this. Yeah, well, the first part is on Esther. Okay, it's BGI decision if they are going to accept any BGI reviewer. From the deep funding technical expert reviewers, we are only getting those that have the correct background in AI and also in peer reviewing. Okay, and even going through an interview, different interview from the proposal process here, but an interview done by our expert team lead, which is here represented by Paulo, for instance, and we also have Mardi. Okay.
All right.
Hopefully I answered. Perhaps Esther wanna give more info on the BGI reviewer, if it's going to be anyone or.
I mean, it depends a little bit also on how many proposals there are and how many reviewers turn up and so on. But I'm guessing that the question is more aimed at the technical review team, but maybe not. But in any case, it will be something like the form that's already on the website, and then also probably depends a bit on the theme, on the topics that are in the reviews and how many reviewers we have for each topic. So, you know, if there's a lot of environmental projects and not too many safety projects, and there's loads of safety people who applied, then we might not utilize all of the applicants. But then, you know, again, it's just there are so many unknowns at this point in terms of the review process that we just have to figure it out as we go along. But yes, the initial application is by form, and we would hope that there are some specific areas that people feel themselves to be competent in terms of AI reviewing. So we encourage people to articulate all of the fields where they feel they have expertise, not just one single focus. So we'll have a kind of multiple checkbox situation probably, where we give different categories and people can signal their areas of knowledge.
All right, makes sense. And for the form link, where will people be able to find it?
Rafael, are we doing this through the main website?
No, that would be on BGI.
Okay.
The link to the form is, yeah.
Yeah, so probably Google form then.
Okay,
right.
to be released soon. Yeah, one thing here that it's also important, as we were discussing, some changes may occur in the flow of the process, right? And one of these changes are exactly the fact that we are about 1.5 months round here, if I'm not mistaken. This can be enlarged. I mean, we can perhaps, hey, we don't have enough BGI reviewers, for instance, so we need more time, 1 week more. So we are going to extend the period. Okay. So again, you can expect the unexpected as well when applying. So be patient. We are also learning and experimenting into this process here. Okay. It's one of the alternatives that we have. We have others, but that would be perhaps one of that would bring more impact into proposers. Yeah, do we have more questions?
I have one question, and then there's another in the chat also, not me, but I was given one question, but also there's another in the chat about spam votes. What are the measures to counter spam votes? And I think Lilo also answered and said that is a top priority, right, when choosing the host platform for voting. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on these or or not. So just wanted to give that chance.
It is, as Lulu says, it's a top priority for us when we're choosing, and we will see what we end up with. Also, I would say that the reviewer scoring is part of the final calculation as well. So the reviewer score accounts for 40% of the vote calculation. So that hopefully offsets some of the voting issues that might arise from duplication. But we will have to see like what we think is the optimal solution given all of the outcomes and so on. So we'll keep you posted about those developments, and when we have a decision about that, then we will tell you immediately.
Yes, that's very interesting. Even I guess probably some of the people with the most incentive to vote will be the proposers themselves in some way, if you think about it, right?
Yeah, indeed.
All right. And for the final question that you have here is about what voter education. How do we guarantee that doesn't become a popularity contest for voting? I don't know if it's a tough question.
Well,
I think
yeah,
in
yeah.
every round.
I think this is more on BGI side, but how bad is for us to have a popularity contest as well into this, right? Of course, if that proposal already passed through the threshold of quality, that's why I advised and BGI to put this scoring. Imagine that any proposal that's above 7, it's a good proposal, right? Of course, one's better than others, but it's about you also, and that's why I also put it the week awareness proposal week, because it's important for the teams to know, yeah, I am there, so now I can really put effort and resources and do my work as well. In the rules, you'll see we also establish some or give some suggestions how to perform well this process of making awareness around your project. We are also going to support with some initiatives for the proposers to use us as a platform to amplify their voices and etc. So yeah, but ultimately voting also is a popularity contest, right? At some point. The fact that we are having the expert reviews or BGI community reviews having some saying in the final voting as a 40% of weight, it's also something very peculiar that we suggested to BGI to use in order to keep considering we are going to Web2 platform for the vote. But don't think that it's if votes are open to the public. In regular rounds, they are also open to the public. Anyone with a wallet can go there and vote, right? So I would say that we also face this. While we don't have this reputation and DDI process or features in place, we are going to have these problems, definitely. That's why gated processes, scoring, that's why we are designing this process to minimize the impact of this voting phase, which is important for the decentralization, which is also a purpose of deep funding. So yeah, it might be a little bit more flexible here because it's Web2, but it's also a situation that we face in our regular rounds. Okay, and also learn using again this round as an experimentation to learn for our regular rounds while we don't have DDI or reputation platform in place, right? We are going to use interviews. We are going to have this weighted voting. So everything came from deep funding to BGI, but we are going to learn from it and using our regular process.
All right. I see no more questions right now. Maybe I can ask a hard question, Esther. Sorry, if you allow me. That would be, is there a process or any steps in place to make sure that the reviewers are in no way associated to the proposers?
Sorry, I didn't fully understand the question. To make sure that the reviewers are not associated with the proposals.
Yeah, with the proposers or the proposers' teams, let's
Oh,
say,
I see. I
in the
see.
sense
Yes.
of.
I think that we will request people to be identifiable for the reviews and for the proposing teams. I mean, it's hard to be 100% sure that somebody's not associated with somebody, but I think we can at least make sure that they're not on the team. But also, yeah, if you have any suggestions about maintaining that sort of security, then we'd be very happy to hear from your wisdom. Something to consider. But yes, I think that one of the things that we're doing in this round is being quite kind of open about identities and so on, because the BGI community, I think, is perhaps one of the distinctions is that there aren't so many people who are very kind of crypto focused in there. And it's a two-sided coin, really, because on the one hand, it means that they may not be so comfortable with Web3, but on the other hand, it does make things a bit easier in terms of people being comfortable being identified.
Another important thing into this is the fact that we also brought 3 reviewers, right? That's our goal when we suggested for BGI. So by having 3, if you have one of 3 that is connected to that project, the other 2 will say, okay, no, this is not good. What's this guy saying? What's this person saying, right? So it's not just one person deciding on it. So I would say that would be very, very, in any case here, very, very hard for us to filter exactly, oh, this person is the 3rd degree causing of such a proposal, and then, you know, so indeed it's a very hard thing to control. So sometimes we have to play with this. We have to say, yeah, let's accept them. Let's accept them. And now we build a framework that will defend against this possibility, or when it happens, because it will happen. So in this case, we are bringing 3 people to discuss. If 2 of them are part of the team, for instance, then it's still more difficult to happen.
Yeah, and if you, let's say, randomize in some ways the attributions, that's very unlikely to happen as well, right?
Yeah, this is it. People don't really know which ones they're going to get. They don't get to choose. Reviewers don't get to choose which proposals they get assigned to. And as Rafael said, like the other 2 might, I mean, we're talking about people here as well. And if the proposal is obviously deficient somehow, and 2 proposers gave it 2 out of 10 and the other proposer gave it 10 out of 10, then it might be kind of obvious what's going on. But then they get together and they talk together and people have an intuition and people might be able to dig a bit deeper. So Rafael's right that having 3 people on the review team probably mitigates that to some degree.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well that we have this gated process, again, playing with this is going to happen, so let's defend ourselves. We have afterwards the technical review, which are not going to be the same reviewers. So those 2 that were in the first review are not going to be here. So we have new people and potentially not connected to that particular project or proposal, which is the same. They can't choose what proposal they are going to review. Then we have this again. Yeah, it's not good. If it's good, yeah. So, okay, then we still have the voting. So we have many other people voting, and it might be even more difficult to make it happen, to have this non-desirable proposal going through the whole gates and getting awarded. Okay.
Yep. Sounds like a good strategy. I don't know if there's any more questions, last minute questions, any more remarks.
I do have, Cardoso, I'm sorry if someone had more, but just a few remarks here. First, this is a different format of round. So BGI decided, yeah, no, we want any AI solution that deals and solve issues on BGI, environmental, social, safety and ethics, and so on, okay? You don't have to apply with a service, AI service, as it's required for a regular round, okay? This is something important. However, if you do, you might gain some more scoring in the impact when scoring. The review, BGI review, we score say, this is an AI service solution to be onboarded on our marketplace. So it goes also deeper into our purpose, so it might impact better, okay? But it's not obligatory or necessary for you to propose an AI service to be onboarded. Again, if they score in BGI review, it's below 7, it's a rejection, okay? And then you don't go to the technical review and voting phase. And then lastly, the milestones are still on deep funding. We are using the structure of deep funding to, after being awarded and etc. The milestones are the same process where you're going to develop your milestone, deliverable, deliver to deep funding. We are going to assess, then communicate to BGI, NEXUS, for them to make to do the disbursements, okay, to make the disbursements to the team. After the award, it's going to just be a slightly change in this case because we are in contact with the BGI team.
All right, very well. We also have here a question from Anthony James on the chat. Considering the large number of uncertainties surrounding public votes, why don't the team assign more scores to the in-house reviews and less to the public votes?
We could certainly consider that. That's something to consider once we've assessed the Web2 voting platforms for security, basically. So how gameable is it and so on. So we are investigating some solutions, and if we don't find them to be satisfactory, then we may try to come up with a solution that we think is fairer.
Yeah, and the original idea with giving the community votes more weight was that it connected more with the ethos of BGI Nexus, is that this is something that is, the BGI Nexus is for a community. We're about pulling communities together and helping everybody like share their thoughts and opinions together and to like, you know, build the projects together. So we wanted to make sure that the community had more weight in the vote in terms of like our ethos. But if it works out through the round that like we can't make it that way right now, that we might switch it to something that is going to be like more fair for the voting system. So yeah, don't worry about that. But it's we would love for the community to be the ones to really choose, because yeah, we want everybody to say what they need in this world.
All right, sounds awesome, to be honest. And yeah, that said, any more final remarks, any more questions? Now is your time to add anything you might be thinking about. Well, I guess not from the silence.
Yeah, I
But
just want to say big thumbs up to Esther, to Lilo, to Haley for coming up with this what I describe as a firecracker round. Yeah, and I think that most of the things that we're looking at implementing here can be recommendations for the funding round, I guess. And I think it will be a win-win for the community in the end. So I wish everybody the best. Yeah, moving forward.
Thank you so much, Clement.
Yeah, that's
I can't
all.
tell you.
Yeah, thank
I,
you.
I love the idea of a firecracker round. I've been calling it a lightning round, but actually I prefer a firecracker round. I'm just gonna have to adopt it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good point, Clement. A good point. I think we new projects like the BGI bring different ideas, and then you can experiment. And in your case, you're actually also experimenting with governance and trying a model with one token, one vote, which is interesting. And it's some of the things deep funding should do. And it's great to have you guys to bring that experiment here. And of course, congratulations as well, because I bet it has been a lot of work. It has been a lot of things out of the comfort zone to organize this round. But hopefully, it will be a huge success. And for us, it's definitely great, of course, to have you here with us and to have this round. So welcome, and we hope we can help you also achieve your goals through this process.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for all of your wonderful support and for all your ideas, and yeah, keep your questions and comments coming after we finish, and reach out to us on Discord or Mattermost or Telegram. We've got a Telegram group now for information for potential proposers. So just yeah, keep the lines of communication open. We love to help. We love to connect with you all, and thank you so much for your support for now and in advance as well for your support during the round. We really appreciate it.
That is awesome. By the way, Esther, can I share the link to the Telegram, or can we share it somewhere, maybe on Deep Funding Telegram or something, and then people can eventually get into it if they want to ask more questions?
Of course, yeah, 100%. We'll share that with you ASAP. I don't have it in front of me, but I think we can dig it out very soon.
All right, awesome. If there's no more questions, no more comments, or no more final remarks, I think we'll end it up or wrap it up for today. And yeah, and hopefully we can see a lot of proposals, a lot of interesting proposals for this round, which is almost starting. And yeah, we can have some fun with it during the next few months and weeks. Thank you, Lilo. The link, guys, go quick. The link is now in the chat for the Telegram. So if you have more questions, if you want support, if you're thinking about applying, or you know someone who should definitely apply to this, go save that link before before I end the Zoom call and ruin everything. But yeah, let's hope to have a few fun weeks with a new funding round, an exciting funding round on BGI, and as Clement, right, put it, a firecracker, super quick round. So yeah, thank you all, and I hope to see you next week on the Open All Hands Wednesday, 2 p.m. So yeah, bye bye. Take care.